Hi, so this is Anna, and today we're going to learn about personality theories. This is a psychology class, and it is, even though you might not be psychology students or not interested in psychology, it is very important to listen to psychology studies because it is very useful for everyone because we're all human and we should all learn a little bit more about ourselves. This PowerPoint is actually not mine. I just got it from another professor that I really love. So if you want to check this PowerPoint, the link is down in the description. So first, what is personality? Personality is basically your characteristics that you develop over time to deal with stressors on your life, on your with your family, with everything. One of the first personality theories that doesn't really fit in anywhere else is type A and type B. Type A people, they easily respond to stress. They're more violent. They're very like, I like hard jobs. I like challenges. I want to do this. And type B are more like laid back, relaxed, easygoing, not worried about time, like gets late to school. But it's not very accurate because the whole population of the world can't be like only either type A or type B, you know? Anyways, the first theory we can analyze is the psychoanalytic theory. It's obviously from Freud. Uh, I don't know if you know him, but he's very, very famous. And it's basically, he said that we have an unconscious and a conscious. And he says that the personality is determined by our early childhood experiences. And so we have, if we have a traumatic childhood, is going to make up our personality forever. So first, as I said, we have a conscious mind. That is our current thoughts in your mind. So we have the unconscious that are basically things that you can't think of. So something traumatic that happened when you were a baby, you don't really remember it and you can't really grasp it, but it's there. He said that we have a lot of like terminology. Those are Greek terminologies. So eros would be like primary drives, water, food, shelter. Thanatos is we really need to keep ourselves alive, so we don't want to die. A libido is the energy that makes us keep living. So first we have the id. The id is basically that part of you that is like very selfish and wants things for them. So like I want food now, I want food only for me, I want a good house, I want a bed, I want like a huge house, you know, like very selfish, kind of like thinks about only themselves. And it's kind of like the heart too, you know, like I want that person that I know it's not good for me, but I just want them because I love them. And then there's the superego. The superego is like selfless, thinks about everyone. It's like, oh no, but I should give the better bed to my mom because I love her and I want to make her happy. And it's all about like society too, you know, like while the id wants to go to school wearing whatever they want, the superego knows that we need to wear the proper school uniform and it makes us wear the proper school uniform. And the ego is who we actually are. And we're always trying to balance the heart and the head. So, as I said, the id is like the largest portion of the mind, which is very interesting because you would think that like the selfish part of you would be the smallest one, but it's actually the largest one because it is very important. Even though we think that not putting us in first place, putting yourself in first place is like a negative quality to society, is actually the first quality because no one else is going to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself. You're the one who's going to live with yourself, with your body, with your mindset. So we really need to start putting us in first place. Anyways, so this is just an example that really makes sense. So the id would want to like go party, have fun, meet friends. The super ego would tell you to study, and the ego would be like, okay, I deserve some partying, but let's study first. So there are a lot of defense mechanisms. The first is repression. So imagine, for example, you had a very bad experience as a child because a dog bit you, So you decide to just like throw this on the subconscious and being like, I'm not ever going to talk about my fear of dogs. I'm just going to like push it down. Denial, we all know it. It's maybe like you just ended things with your ex and you try to cope with it by being like, no, we're gonna go back together. This is just a phase. We didn't actually end things, but we both know that you did end things. Displacement would be like you get very mad at like your dad and you take it out in a friend for some reason. Projection is basically you, for example, you fought with your dad and instead of being like that, you're such a awful person, you turn and you start doing nice things for them. Like for example, your teacher just treats you very bad, but in a school you can't really say anything bad to your teacher, so you're like, yes, thank you, mister, you're so nice, that type of stuff, you know. Regression is basically like you come back to like the way that you were when you were younger. So if your mom doesn't let you go out, just get mad and you start crying like a baby, you know, even though you're an adult or a teenager. Sublimation is basically like you charge all this negative energy, for example, and you go to soccer or you go to the gym, you know. Reaction formation is doing the opposite thing, you know, like for example, you really like something, but for some reason you don't want people to know that you like ice cream, so you pretend to hate ice cream, you know. Rationalization is we do this a lot. For example, if you don't want to study or you hate school, you can't go around saying you hate school when you don't want to study. You just to your parents, you just say to your parents, oh no, it's because I'm feeling tired today, or like I just had a bad night of sleep. Like you try to find excuses to feel like that, you know. Intellectualization, you just try to generalize, like, oh my god, I didn't get into this college, but like this happens to everyone. So there are some issues with this personality theory because um, you can't really prove this type of stuff, you know, like it's on your subconscious mind, and there is no way to prove this. Oh yeah, and then there's some things that Freud said that it was very like centered to male people. So for example, there is a theory that every girl gets very envious of a guy's reproductive capabilities. So they said that maybe guys had womb envy, like guys were envious of women being able to give birth. Anyways, the neo-Freudian are people who like Freud but aren't like completely on with his ideals. They kind of like just get half of it, you know. There's the Jungian theory that he said that there was a personal unconscious, like a lot of memories that you repressed, and there are just some stuff that you deal with that you're not like very conscious about, and the collective unconscious, that is a very like kind of like a spiritual thing that every single human is have a collective conscious because we all come from like our ancestors, so it's very nice. And there were a lot of like complexes inside your personal unconscious. So for example, I think it's going to say here, oh yeah, so we have like a persona that's like who we show off to the public, and like a shadow that's more like our dark side, or the sides that we don't really like. There's the Alderian theory that it says that every single child is born with an inferiority complex because like the adults are bigger or they're stronger and the child doesn't know a lot. So they all are motivated to leave, to stop feeling inferior. Like we grow into adulthood just trying to compensate for their feeling of inferiority that we witnessed it as a child. It was very bad because not a lot of not every child grew up with an inferiority complex, you know, like it was a very negative theory. So trait theories is basically how this theory is about how we can like box each personality trait by identifying general traits. So there's the nomothetic approach, that is basically saying that every single person has only 16 personality traits to describe everyone's personality. There's the and so there's like probably the test you already did, like are you an introvert, are you an extrovert, are you stable, are you unstable, you know. So here are all the personalities. This guy developed the 16 personality factor test that you probably already did. If you didn't, go to 16personalities.com, I think, and do it because it's so nice and so funny. This trait theory is based on 5 big personality traits: extroversion, agreeableness, anyways, read that thing, openness, and emotional stability. Basically, you can get a high score or a low score, and those are like the biggest ones. You can pause this video if you want and try to diagnose yourself. So there are the ideographic theories that are basically the main things that you can put yourself on, you know, like, are you a logical person? Are you more like numerical data, you know? So very interesting. So there's the cardinal trait that is like the most, the biggest one. Like, how would you define yourself with one trait? That's probably your cardinal trait. The central traits are like maybe 6 or 5 traits that you have there are like your second best, and the secondary traits are a lot of other traits that sometimes can be your traits depending on the circumstances. Basically, personality traits really can depend on the heritability. That it's a little bit of genetics, but that is basically like your height, eye color, skin color, hair color. It's not very personality based, you know. And then there's the Williams-Sheldon somatotype theory, that there are 3 types of bodies. So there's the endomorph, mesomorph, ectomorph. You probably already heard about it, so I'm not going to explain. And there's obviously the behavioral traits that is very related to like the environment that you're at, you know, like if people are reinforcing you to act a certain way or not reinforcing you to act this way. So by changing a person's environments, a behavior is believed they can alter personality. So yeah, and there are obviously some other things. Basically, like there's this Bobo doll experiment that you're not going to know what it is, but you can research if you want. That is basically, we try to mirror people that we see. So if we see our parents acting this certain way, we're going to act that way too. So it's basically the idea of reciprocal determinism. So it is very important that, because our personality traits are very based on how our self-efficacy, that is your belief that you can do something or you can't. And it's obvious that people who believe they can do it are more optimistic. And it's proven that the more you believe you can do something, the greater your chances of actually doing it. So I feel like it's people who attempt to understand their world, develop their own. So it's more about like your personal history, how you construct yourself. And obviously there's a locus of control, which is very, very interesting. Depending on how you believe, if you have an internal locus of control or external, your personality is going to be different. So an internal locus of control is when you feel like if something goes wrong in your life, it's your fault. And an external locus of control is basically if something goes wrong in your life, it's God's fault, or like it was meant to be, you know, like, oh my God, I just ended things with my girlfriend. Oh my God, it was all my fault. Or I just ended things with my girlfriend. Oh no, it's actually like it was meant to be because we weren't in the right path, you know? So there's obviously the humanistic psychologies that it's basically the criticism of this theory is that it is very positive, but it believes that every single person has the right to their own destiny depending on their free will. So we all have a self-concept and a self-esteem. And by changing our self-concept, that is like how we see each other, we're able to mold ourselves into someone better. A self-esteem is how much you value yourself, and is very, very easily bended because of like your parents or your teachers. So it's very fragile. Obviously, the greatest need of the human is to have self-actualization, that is reaching your full potential as a person. Pause if you want to read it. So these are how they assess things. They're obviously the protective tests that is like going to a therapist, and then they're going to like try to make you talk, and they're going to analyze a lot of things. And then there's the Ross Koch ink block that I love it. It's like a very weird series of images, and you need to say what you think of first. For example, this one. The first thing I thought were like two grandmas, like two ladies, maybe discussing something over a cup of tea. So if you want to write down what you saw in this image in the comments, you can do it. It's probably going to be fun to see. There's this like type of aptitude test that we can just jump. Self-report inventories that you probably already did, is like BuzzFeed quizzes. And the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, it actually defines your personality and sees if you have any kind of disorders, which is a very, 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 very important, because we really need types of things that can diagnose disorders. For example, this thing. And there is this thing called the Barnum effect that is very bad, because we have a tendency to like be socially conformative. So, for example, if I read this question, I enjoy time alone. I'm gonna think, if I say strongly agree, people are gonna think I'm antisocial, and people should think that I'm an extrovert. So I'm gonna say strongly agree, you know? So that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it wasn't too boring. I know it's a lot of content, and I hope you learned something. Bye.